Hi everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Brick. Boone Langston here. I am with Jang. We are back here at his place at the new Jang City. Joshua was here about a year ago and you saw an entire tour. You can go check that out on our channel if you'd like. But now JANGBRiCKS here is going to take us through some of the new things he's got in his city. I also have noticed some new lighting effects in the room. We've got this skybox. Jang, take it away.
All right, well, you know, you've got your full tour that you did last time. I'm not going to take you through every single individual thing that we covered before, but there has been a lot of change that is not just about the individual little buildings that have changed and everything, but also a mindset shift for me that I think has been really important, that I think will ultimately benefit both viewers and also myself, you know, because this isn't just a project for viewers, it's also something that I really enjoy from the creative process and also the connections back to the good feelings from my childhood and everything. So I've definitely made some, like I said, mindset shifts that have helped things. So I think we'll just, I don't know, we just start from one of the major areas that's had a lot of impact since the last time you guys were here.
Yeah, this
I mean,
great.
You weren't here before, but that guy behind the camera was here before. The downtown area has changed in its overall shape quite a bit. Last time you were here, there was a whole row of modular buildings and small buildings all along this side, and the main street, which I'm actually now calling Main Street. I just have to, there's the tie back to the Main Street set, which was one of the classics of all time for town and city. But that street previously went straight through from one edge of the layout all the way to the other, which was the most efficient way to do it. It had the fewest turns, which take away space for building. And I was really focusing, and have been really focusing a lot this whole time that I've been building this, up to very recently, on maximizing space and, you know, knowing that I'm always going to want to build more than I have room to do. So how can I get the most into whatever space is available? I've changed that completely. I had some nice experiences that reminded me of why I like models and miniatures in general in the first place, that it's really about the experience of being there, right, in a scene, of seeing what the minifigures are doing, of seeing the people, of seeing the construction equipment. What is it actually doing? What is it for? That's more what this really is about. It's what has led to all of this. And I haven't really known that since I started working on this, because, you know, again, the whole Lego thing comes from childhood. I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that. You know, it's not something that we came up with as an idea of something we wanted to get into as adults. It comes from that, right, you know, from toys and wanting to play and wanting to recreate life and create fantasy situations.
And as a kid, we weren't trying to maximize our space.
No,
we were trying to have an experience. Right?
Yes, exactly. We were trying to have what to us was just fun, and fun is a very complicated thing, and part of that is being able to kind of sympathize with, right, the little people. What are they doing? What are they thinking? It's about their scenario. So what I've done here is move the main street towards us, blew out a whole bunch of space that, you know, is now very narrow and will be used with just relatively small things, but brought that main street towards us so we can see it. We can just walk right up to it. And when I say we, I really mean we. You know, viewers, myself, I can come up here and I can appreciate that there are 3 people waiting for the crosswalk right there, as opposed to having to, you know, lean over the edge and with the camera and everything. I wasn't doing it right. This whole time I've been doing Lego City wrong, I think.
Man, that's really something to think about. I love the parts of your layout, like you mentioned, the 3 people on the corner, and we'll see a lot of other, you know, illustrations as we walk around, but the areas where you really see a story happening.
Right.
And you can imagine so many different things about these people living in this city.
That's what it's all about.
Here, I love that you've got the construction workers here in front of the high rise, and you're working on this area. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think it's hilarious that the construction workers are in the area that you're working on. Can you tell us about what plans you have here?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So this area is another thing that's been changed quite a bit in how it's going to be used. The whole big skyscraper was previously at the other end of the downtown. And what I'm going to do here, again, just focusing on the experience of being able to get in there and see stuff more and see what the minifigures are doing. This is going to be almost all plaza. It's going to be almost all like green and concrete jungle kind of space. So a lot of open space, little bits of stairways, a little bit of terrain change, probably a almost concrete gazebo type structure just to have, kind of an area, a social area for coworkers from that skyscraper to come together when they're having lunch. And where the town hall building is right now is going to be replaced by something custom. Okay. So that'll probably be either 2 or 3 stories, more likely 2, just so that we can see the train station behind there a little bit more easily. And that'll have like a sandwich shop and a small tech shop and just things that you would expect to see in a relatively small building near relatively large buildings that are commercial focused and office buildings.
Right, this is great.
And then across from that, I haven't decided exactly what's going to go into this green space, but I intentionally put green here because I do want to bring more green into the layout. I think probably if I were to go back and look at your tour video from last year, I would see a lot more gray, and I just needed more color and more literal life. So I think it might be nice to have just a green way down here, just a little strip, just to bring a little, that life and that good feeling to the figures. Sure. Making life in this city more lively.
Right. Yeah. I love how I hear over and over again these parallels between, the decisions you have to make as a human being, interacting with your models, and how that parallels the city planner of New Jang City, making these decisions about how these people are going to get to interact with their environment. Yeah. I think it's hilarious and beautiful to kind of think about that relationship that we have with our hobbies.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I think that something very similar has happened in real life with city planning, where there have been a lot of spaces, major spaces, metropolitan areas, that only in recent years have started to very seriously consider adding greenways and social spaces and taking lanes. Who would ever think of taking lanes away, from a major busy area? But they do it to help with life and quality of life for people. It's funny that has happened. I'm sure that has probably influenced my shift in that direction to some degree, but for the most part, it's just, I think the main part of it is that I want to have that feeling of awe when I walk into here. I mean, I'm making all of this stuff, but ultimately it's to create good feelings. That's the whole purpose of all of this. And I want to feel good when I see things, and I want to be able to empathize, a little bit, and I want to be able to share that feeling with viewers who I bring in here.
Right. Oh, that's good. Right underneath where we are, this is sort of your viewer-inspired area.
Right.
And you've done quite a bit with that recently.
Yeah. I actually don't think that I have filmed it since I cleaned it up most recently. So the idea down here is this is an area that viewers basically have control over, because the stuff on top of the tables is for me and my creative ideas and just how I want things to be, but I want viewers to be able to have a way to interact and have a direct connection that they control to some degree. And I have all this space, so they already decided through basically polling a year or so ago, maybe a little bit more than a year, that this would be a cyberpunk kind of themed area. And also being not part of the official New Jang City on top, I'm allowing anything to be brought in there. So Star Wars stuff can be like, Star Wars figures can literally be in there, unmodified as themselves from their own universe. Right. Superhero stuff. I have so many, superheroes figures and things from sets that I've reviewed, and I've taken this stuff apart, but they can actually live down here and interact.
Batman can drive a pink Cadillac.
Yeah, exactly, with white wheels and tires.
That's great.
So this area, that's definitely going to be new for your viewers to see, and mine as well, looking at your video, hopefully, of just how it's been cleaned up a bit and made a little bit more complete. For now, there's a ton more work, obviously, that needs to be done.
Sure.
And eventually, it'll be pretty custom, but it's just an area to do things different.
Is there one thing that sticks out in your mind as someone made a recommendation and you thought, oh yeah, that's great, it's got to be done, and I'm excited to do it?
Honestly, I was not expecting the whole cyberpunk theme idea at all. That wasn't something that I was thinking of at all. All the stuff that I do tends to be kind of clean, clean edges, geometric or round, very clean cut, straightforward. But cyberpunk just goes in so many different directions, can be so random appearing, and literally random in some cases, that's completely outside of my wheelhouse. Also, the idea of putting, I think the idea of putting the Death Star down there was a viewer idea, because it's something that I had left down there just for storage. I was just using the space for storage, and they're like, no, just use it somewhere, put it somewhere, use it. It's a cool thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I have a friend who has a city, and they put their Disney castle at one end of the city, and just to put it there, and then that whole end of his city became an amusement park for the city.
Yes,
because he needed a place to put his Disney castle.
There you go. I love it when things grow that way organically.
Right.
The stuff that you don't plan tends to be the best.
Yeah. So tell us a little about the lights. The lights are all new since last year. Is that right?
Yes. That's actually very, very recent that I've started putting stuff in. I had been waiting for a wireless lighting system that's just not panned out quite to the level that I need. So I just went ahead and said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do a full wired system, which takes a long time to implement, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And what another thing that I'd been doing wrong this whole time was building a lot of details on the insides of things, but never letting people see it. Because I do a tour. I've taken people through the building of, for instance, this hospital, and during that process, and I think I did a tour of the whole hospital when it was done. Opening it up, taking the individual levels out so you could see inside. But then after that, then what? It's just a static thing that you see, and it was dark inside, so you couldn't really appreciate, again, the scenes and the stories that are in there. And there are different characters that you can see that make sense, and you can see some references. And putting in actual interior lighting is going to take the whole city to a different level and really bring the value out of it, of how it was, what it was meant for, and what I'm really trying to do that in some cases I didn't even realize.
Right. This is wonderful. The hospital in particular is one of the items in your city that I remember when you were building it. I watched those videos, and so I think it's probably one of my favorite buildings in your city, just because of kind of the connection to it.
Okay.
And so now seeing it with lights, it's just brilliant. And you've got this beacon up here, which it's great to have flashing lights to draw people's eyes, but it's better when the flashing light makes sense that it's flashing, right? And this is a perfect example of that. This is good.
Thank you. Yeah, so for lighting, as far as what I've actually done technically, is I've focused from a light system perspective. I've focused on the brickstuff.com series of products. But most of the light that I've actually implemented, most of the volume of light that you see is custom, just from cheap LED strips, off Amazon, and custom wiring. But things like the blinking light up there, that's a Brickstuff LED. They make them super small. The wiring is all inside. The connector that they have is actually small enough to fit through the size of the open studs, the completely hollow studs on the cylinder. So I'm able to hide away a lot of the wiring, which was something that I was really, really worried about since the beginning. I don't want to deal with wiring, and I certainly don't want people to have to see wiring all over the place.
This may not be new. In fact, I know it's not new, but I'm personally very interested in seeing the elevator operate in the hospital.
Okay.
Is that something you're able to do?
So I actually haven't tidied up the wiring. The elevator shaft is used for wiring. I can operate it just a little bit, I think, but basically this is a battery pack. There's just a power function
Right.
battery right here. And then I've got an old 9-volt motor right here. And ultimately, I think should be able to just, hopefully it won't break live right now, but ultimately I think, wait, is it on? No, it is not on. There we go.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. You can see it going down in there and up. That's fantastic. Thank you. I hope it's not broken now.
No, I think it's good. I think it's good. Yeah, I'll eventually I'll just clean up the wiring in there, because all the wires for all the levels go up through this, because it's a space that doesn't invade into the detailed
Right.
space. But I'll have it. I've got enough room in there. I just need to use tape and some small parts to hold it in. But yeah, it's my only working elevator. It took a bit of experimentation to make it loose enough so it wouldn't bind up. But yeah,
Well, that's great. Thank you for showing me.
yeah, sure. Yeah, there's actually enough room. I think I can open up if I can bring you around this side. Let's see if we can do this. See if we can make this happen. If I can open up the doors, I think you'll see. Can't see what you're seeing, but I think there's somebody in there on a gurney.
Oh, the gurney is
and
in
an
there.
attendant.
That's great.
So there's just enough space for that.
Awesome.
And then over here, this is more of the same in terms of trying to create the experience and allow us as huge figures, as real human beings, to get in there and see what the minifigures are up to, turning this more into a modern real life inspired mall plaza. So a lot of this stuff has simply been turned and slid around, but into a completely different arrangement. Previously, these little walkway spaces were used on the side of the mall, just mostly to kind of have a little bit of open space around there. But now, you've got these actual walkway spaces, and you can see what people are doing. And I think the view for, again, putting yourself into, or myself into the mind of the minifigures, I think it's a more inviting space for them to socialize in and to go between shops.
Right. I think the view that John was getting just a moment, going down this pathway to the entrance of the mall, is another one of my favorite things about this layout. And over here on this side, I've never noticed this before, and perhaps it's been talked about, so I apologize if haven't observed it, but the monochrome figures here, is this an art installation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
That's great.
So it's just places where people will come up, and nowadays they just take selfies.
Right.
Right. Previously, gosh, what did we do with things like that before everybody was taking selfies? I guess we just looked at it and appreciated it.
I guess. I mean,
that's weird.
There was a time when we took pictures and had to wait to get the film developed.
No, there wasn't. What are you talking about? Jeez. But yeah, the mall was the first major building. No, was it the first? No, it was the second major building that I lit up, and that does use just the brick stuff system in all the interior spaces. Every single shop is actually lit up. When I designed the mall to begin with, I put the huge skylight on top, mostly to let light in there so that you could at least see a little bit. You could see that there was stuff going on by looking through there, but actually adding the lights into the place has really just kind of completed it. It's completed the mission.
Well, and you see that it's lit from inside through the skylight,
right?
And that just makes it look, all that more real, I think, from out here, from this perspective. Good. Cool. Oh man, being here is amazing.
And then the train stuff, a lot of people don't like trains, so they want me to just blow all the trains away and replace it with other things. I don't know, but I love my trains, man.
Yeah.
I need maximum parking space for maximum rolling stock. So this has always been a major thing for me, maximizing this space. And here again, I've added in a little bit of lighting. So these, this area back here has these stock lights, which are inspired by what actually occurs in multiple time. I don't know what you even call it. Just yards that work,
Right.
through the night.
Sure.
And that just again, provides a little more highlighting to the space. But this whole area has been changed a bit since you last saw it, because previously I had my engine maintenance shed covering a couple of these tracks, a couple of these dead-end sidings, and I've moved that over and put it. It's actually my first out-of-grid building placement.
Oh,
something
look at that.
Yeah, so it's fully at an angle. Only a couple of studs are actually attaching it to the ground in just a couple of spots, because ultimately buildings have enough weight. They don't need to be fully anchored everywhere.
Sure.
So that was just a whole process of mostly just needing to keep that. I need to
Right.
have my engine depot and maintenance area. I added the lights in, so again, you could see what's going on inside of there. But lots and lots of tiles,
Right.
to enable the sideways placement of it. And then I've also been able to be a little bit more permanent about my ballast. So the actual train ballast areas just lets you see a little bit more of my end game for all of the train tracks. Because a lot of the places you've seen just as you walk around, just kind of in the background, have been kind of plain, just tracks sitting on top of base plates.
Right.
And that's intended to be temporary. I don't want to invest too much into putting the more realistic-ish looking appearance in place until I'm certain, that this is the layout, because
Right.
it just takes so much time to put that stuff in.
When you were working on figuring out the angle of this
Yeah,
building,
yeah.
did you do some math to figure exactly out, or is it more trial and error?
That one's all trial and error. The only thing that I think the major place that I've done any math was for the big skyscraper, because that needed to work, and
Okay.
I needed to be comfortable. The pieces needed to be
Right.
non-stressed. I think I did it for one spot for my apartment building, but for the most part, all of this stuff I like to do on the fly. I just
Yeah.
it's kind of against my natural nature. I think I tend to be more scientific minded just in general in life. I try to do things, proper. But here it's just a great opportunity to exercise the other side of the brain and to be a little bit more, seat of the pants.
Right.
Just grab parts, throw some stuff together, see what works, and go by feel a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, while I'm standing here,
Yeah.
I want to talk to our viewers about, we shot a video for JANGBRiCKS channel just a few minutes ago. And we also earlier in this video mentioned the 3 people that were standing at the corner over in the city. And this engine, this giant engine, Jang thinks maybe this is a boat engine.
Yeah.
I think, there's also just like massive engines like sitting in the middle of factories that are running something, and I just think that this tells a story, because you don't just have an engine, a giant engine sitting on a train car without a purpose. So it's either coming from somewhere or headed to somewhere, and it has a destiny. And again, there's just those things about, this layout that you've done intentionally, and I'm sure there are probably dozens that I won't even notice, right? But just the intentionality behind, this is a real place, and there's stories being told here, lives being lived. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I have moved much of this street here just in a similar vein to what I did down in the main street, the main downtown area, bringing that a little bit closer to some table edges, and it's better to view from the other side, of course. But one of the major things that I like that has happened here was moving the Shell station to a place where you could see it from the good side when you walk into the room.
Right.
Because I personally just like the look of that. The colors and little bit of ties back to old Lego sets that I never got, but stared at in the little catalogs that came with the sets that I did get.
Right.
You know, just there's just a lot of things. It's also inspired by an actual shell station near where I lived at one point. Just there's a lot of good feelings for me personally in that, and being able to take advantage of that and to get that little tinge of joy, you know, just walking into the room, even just for me, you know, I think is just it's just good for the soul.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully I can share some of that with viewers as well, you know, but I need to be able to feel it also, so it's, you know, it's real.
Right. Oh, good. I love the color scheme on these trains here.
I don't even know where that came from. How I even got to orange.
Oh, and the, you know, you're sort of representing the graphics on the side of the train there by layering plates. That's cool. Nice.
Thanks. I don't remember if the fire station was here last time you were here. I think that may have been a recent move, because it was kind of in limbo for some time after maybe a year, probably 2 years ago, a major redo. But this is another thing that I just like to look at. It just brings me a little bit of that childish joy. And I think having it somewhat close to the residential area kind of makes sense. And then I threw in also the playground, put a playground back in a little somewhat weird space created by some of the road base plates that needed to shift a little bit there. But having some more green space in is good, and I wanted to use the swing set that I had done some time ago. I previously at the original old Jang City, I had a much larger playground that had a slide and a bridge and, you know, some other equipment, but I just don't have enough space for that now.
Sure.
But yeah, I wanted to bring in some stuff for the kids, for the mini kids.
Yeah. You've described a couple times, you know, moving something from one place to another or adjusting the way that the roads run.
Yes.
What's your process, and what does this space look like when you're making those kinds of changes?
Oh, okay.
Do you understand what I'm asking? Like, do you
I
pull
so.
things out and take them to another room, or does stuff just here?
Most of it is done as close as reasonably possible. I don't like to take things, you know, I don't need to take things kind of out of my sight, you know, to clear my mind or anything. But for the most part, the way that I build, I try to make sure that things are movable. And I don't have any particular reason for that. It just seems like a smart thing to do. Unfortunately, I have done that because I have moved things a ton of times. So
Sure.
I'll tend to just pick up an entire base plate worth of build and just either move it to another open space if there is any, or put it down on the ground off to the side. And then train tracks I will work on in real time, just in place, and base plates like road plates I'll work on in real time, just shifting stuff around. You know, I'll have a whole stack of different shapes and things, and just kind of do it in place like puzzle pieces, figuring out, you know, looking and seeing what looks right and trying to figure out what feels right to me in person. When I initially did the first plan for old Jang City and also again for new Jang City, I did use a computer program, JANGBRiCKS. It's an independent small piece of software that just gives you a top-down view and lets you put in, you know, base plates and train tracks and some basic buildings, you know, of official sets. And I use that to kind of give the whole general shape of everything and general proportions of, you know, how much I'll have for roads and how much space I'll have for residential versus commercial and everything. But most of that has been undone since, just kind of organically, you know, as I've really evolved everything. I mean, gosh, the more I look at it, the more I think back to even how this space looked, I don't know, 2 years ago. It's so different. It doesn't feel like it's moved that much because I have so many major structures and things that are recognizable, but it's definitely evolved a lot.
Oh man, wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of, you know how like you go to a city and they've got some sort of museum exhibit where you can see an image of what the city looked like in this year, and then you can change it and you see what the city looks like in this year.
Right.
How cool would it be if there was some way to go back and I mean, you can see it in the videos. That's a great way to see it, right? Is in the videos. But to have, almost if we could stand here and like turn a dial and see how things have changed.
Almost gave me tingles right there. Yeah. Next level, four-dimensional videos.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good idea.
It's some sort of augmented reality.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just noticed that little boat over there on the end of the.
Yeah, the biggest boat I've ever made. that was a huge reveal.
Oh.
I love. A lot of people don't like large Lego pieces in general, and Lego preformed boat hulls are the biggest offenders in that. But I love their preformed hull pieces, and the tug right there uses the smallest possible number of the smallest and oldest preformed hull pieces that they have. It's just a bow and a stern, hooked together from the 80s. I think that might even be from the late 70s. Depends on what specific set it's from. But yeah, I love their boat hulls for some reason. I've tried to use. I've got a whole collection of different sizes of ones, and I've tried to use them as much as possible. The blue boat that's on the dock that's closest to us is actually one of the very few sets that I had as a kid. Now that's not the exact one, but that is one of the sets that I remember having as a kid. Because I only had, growing up, I can only think of 3 sets that I know that I had. I feel like there was probably one other, maybe 2 others or something, but most of my interest in Lego was from looking at those little catalogs and the little scenes that they would make of the towns and the space stuff, And so I still...
They were good at it.
Yeah. With the small number of pieces, with the small sizes, limited complexity, it still was just, it was charming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've still not put much work into, or any work into the actual Planetary Defense Force base. I'm not sure if the terrain has been updated since you last saw. I don't remember the exact timing on that, but the outside terrain is getting close to where it should be with its level of detail, a little bit of foliage around the top, and also the electric safety fencing around the top of it. But ultimately, this whole interior space needs to be filled up with lots of sci-fi stuff.
Is this intended to be something that is concealed from the view of the people that live in the city? So,
yeah, good question. I've thought about that. I've been asked about that a lot. I think that's a good idea. I don't think it needs to be just kind of in universe. Just thinking of this government system and the current social dynamic and everything. I think that the Planetary Defense Force base is kind of a force for good, and the people support it. It's not looked at as the bad government overreaching and trying to take over other planets and exploit other civilizations and stuff. So I think that the people in this world are happy with the Planetary Defense Force base, and it doesn't need to be fully hidden from them, but it still needs to be protected from folks who might want to do nefarious things, who might want to steal some of the tech, because they definitely will have some advanced tech that's not supposed to be in the hands of civilians.
Right.
But some stuff may stick up above the edges of the laccolith. I've heard is the proper term for this type of geologic structure. Laccolith, not a hill or not a mountain. It's a thing.
There you go. I love the design of this. Would you call it a shuttle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's certainly gives the impression of like the NASA space shuttles from the 80s and 90s.
Right.
But of course, more science fiction kind of inspired. It's good. It's cool.
I think I haven't opened that up in a long time, and I think it has a detailed interior as well, and also space for figures.
This is your design?
Yes.
I think it's amazing that someone in the world can build so many things that they can say, yeah, this is a thing I designed, and I haven't opened it up in a long time, but I think it has a detailed interior. I think that says more about everything you've done than it says about this particular thing, but no, it's really cool.
What is it? Lego does, I want to say it's over 400 major products per year now. Not including all the keychains and all the, all the gear and everything, but just sets.
Right.
And I cover the vast majority of them.
Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, this is great.
Thank you.
Do you have new stuff on the second level?
Second level.
We talked a little bit about the viewer curated area.
Yeah,
over
I think that's what has changed most.
Okay.
Probably some little things have changed from time. Do you remember if you guys covered the mine area last year? I feel like it probably was there.
Yes, it was there.
Okay.
Can you show us the room lighting effects?
Yep. Oh yeah. So we haven't talked about all this stuff. Some people say it makes it look like a hospital, but it's a thing that has taken folks to some time to get used to, and we've kind of messed it up just a little bit walking around right now. But no, it's both of us. But there are three of us, by the way. There's a guy over there too. There you go. A few major ideas or a few major reasons for all of the backdrop, all the curtains that have been put back here. So I'll go ahead and switch this over to a different lighting mode. So a couple of things that does. One, allows us to have colors in the background that are consistent and that help to set a mood and for different lighting conditions, which is especially important now that I've started putting in lights in the buildings themselves, so you can start to see a little bit more of the idea of night life, or that life continues on at night in these places, and having less distractions in the background, I think, just helps to set that scene. And some of the pictures that I've been able to take for Instagram, things that are set up, getting angles closer to the minifig eye view have really benefited from that clean and consistent background. Another thing is just helping viewers to focus a little bit more, because I've got, behind here, there's a fireplace behind a couple of these panels, and there's the design of the house has a wet bar. There's a sink back here, and I have like workspace and temporary storage and stuff. So being able to just shut all that out and just focus on the city, is a big benefit. And then being able to see the lights now that I've started to move in the direction of putting interior lights, and I'll go ahead and take it even down to a darker level like that, so you're focused even more on just where the lights are. Obviously, this highlights just as much the lights that have been put in as areas that are missing lights, areas that are still dark, but
they've all gone to bed.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That explains that. But eventually, I want everything to be lit up to some realistic-ish degree. It doesn't need to be all super bright. It shouldn't be all super bright, but I want to bring that next level of life and liveliness to all the space and to all the little people.
Yeah, that's great. That makes me think, the color of your tables is so good that I don't even really notice it in the spots where, I feel like it's a perfect somewhere between light gray and dark gray.
Yes.
I just, like, my brain just kind of accepts it. Do you have in your mind, is there a day when there's no table showing, or do you like that there's?
I absolutely want to have no table showing, because I want this to be fully just all Lego. Like, you can look off in some areas where there is no table showing, and that's what I want to see. Like, a corner over here, like, you can, there's nothing but just studs and base plate, and that's definitely the direction that I want to go overall. I want it to be a very immersive edge-to-edge experience, except for the edge of the table. I haven't thought about what to do with edges. But even on down, when you look down below, I've got these supports, the main posts that hold it up. I've started to do things to be able to remove some of those. So sorry, I actually didn't take any out for this video here, but some of these posts can be taken out completely and the rest of it is tied together so that you can have just a more clean and clear, unobstructed view of just Lego.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you've chosen a great piece of furniture in the meantime, for not being intrusive to what you're trying to build around it.
Thank you.
This is good.
So a lot changed, but a lot not. A lot of things are still recognizable, but it's definitely an evolution. It's not something where I have a specific end goal that's fully planned out. I've tried to stay flexible and respond to things that the viewers like, the viewers want to see. Even if I, am keeping this upper level as my own thing, I'm still inspired by what people are interested in, and ultimately I do want to share good feelings with viewers and everything. So, still there's a lot of viewer influence that comes into this no matter what, and just being able to share some of those same good feelings that I get, and some also that they share with me that I didn't even see or think about, and things that you see that you appreciate, like that engine over there. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just, it's an industrial thing, and I've seen engines on flatbeds and stuff, but it actually had some impact. Like, it made more sense to you, and was a deeper thing than it was to me, and that's what it's all about.
Oh, that's great. Well, Jank, thank you so much for bringing us back here and showing us what's new.
Thank you guys for coming up.
Really wonderful.
Got the worst lighting. There we go.
Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos on Jang. And if for some crazy reason you're not watching JANGBRiCKS, check out his official channels.
Thank you.
And until next time, thanks for watching.